I heard this great example once from a famous apologist, but I was listening to this lecture as I was on my way up to this camp well, it's not Southern California, it's up by the Redwoods, so it's Hume Christian camps, and I go up there every once in a while and speak, and I love speaking up there too. I mean, they have thousands of students up there; it's amazing. And as you're driving up there and you're driving through the windy roads, I mean, it is in the middle of nowhere. You got to go up a mountain and then down into like a crater. And that's where the camp is. And as you're driving up, and it's one of those scary parts that you get to where it's like a cliff. It just drops down right here. Like you could just look over the side. And if you ever went off there, and there's no guardrail or anything, but as you peer out into kind of down the hill, down the cliff, down in through the woods, you see a broken down cabin. Okay, it's a cabin in the woods, and think. I just want you to think of this. Imagine this. Okay, imagine you're walking through, and you're walking to that cabin in the woods, and as you get closer and closer to it, you see, or you hear rather, your favorite song emanating from the cabin. You know, whatever your favorite song might be, Bruno Mars, who knows? I don't even know any modern people. My mind goes to Bruno Mars first, right? So, anyways, you hear your favorite song, the Eagles or whatever, pumping from this cabin, and you're like, wait a second, that's my favorite song. It's amazing. So you start to explore a little bit closer, and then as you get closer, you start to smell your favorite food. Mine's cherry pie, man. I love cherry pie. And you can smell that stuff from a mile away when it's baked really, really good, you know, with the sugar coating on top. It's amazing. So you hear your favorite music, you smell your favorite food. And then as you get closer to the door, you see on the outside, right there on the mat that says welcome, are your favorite shoes. You know, they're shoes that you love to wear. They're brand new, and they're your size. And then you're like, wait a second, this is so weird. And then you see a coat hanging on a rack on the outside. And it's your coat, the coat, you know, from Patagonia that you've always wanted. And it's in your size. And then you say, wait a second, okay, I'm gonna knock on the door. You knock on the door, and the door just kind of like creeps open. So you just look in, and I'm not advocating breaking and entering. Please don't do that. But say that you take a step in, and there you see the TV that you've always wanted, your video games that you love to play, and all your books are on the bookshelves. Like all these, you know, are there for you. And then you look in the fridge, and it's all your snacks. Everything is there that you love. You look in the pantry, and there it is, all those amazing, you know, the Gusher fruit snacks and the things that we're not supposed to eat, especially now that we're old. And then you go to the bathroom, and all your toiletries are there, your particular type of toothpaste and toothbrush, the mouthwash that doesn't sting. You know, and what would you say if this happened to you? If you're walking in the woods and all these things happen to you, the smell of your favorite food, the sound of your favorite music, all your clothes, toiletry, food, and everything like that. Did someone prepare that cabin for you, or did it just happen to be that way by chance? Like, would you say, wow, I would say this is creepy. Like, this is like super creepy. You know, somebody must have known who's following me, you know, or who knew I was going to come here. Well, the universe is kind of just like that cabin. Actually, there's a scientist out there. His name's Freeman Dyson, and I have this quote. He's a physicist, and this is from Scientific American. And he quotes. He says this. He says, as we look out into not a Christian, mind you, not a Christian. He says, as we look out into the universe and identify the many accidents of physics and astronomy that have worked out to our benefit, it almost seems as if the universe must, in some sense, have known we were coming. You know, this is the fine-tuning argument for the existence of God. If you haven't figured that out already, you know, it's the idea that the universe is so precisely tuned for life that there's no other explanation other than the designer. Fred Hoyle, again, not a believer. He coined the term Big Bang. Actually, he didn't believe in the Big Bang, but anyways, he coined the term way back when. And he says this. He says, a common sense interpretation of the facts suggests that a super intellect has monkeyed with physics as well as with chemistry and biology, and that there are no blind forces worth speaking about in nature. Right. Another illustration that helps me kind of process this is I grew up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. And now I live in Southern California. Well, back growing up, sometimes I have to explain this to my kids. There's this white stuff during the winter that falls from the sky. Well, it's snow. And you used to wake up early in the morning. Those of you who live in colder climates, you guys are totally going to know what I'm saying. Like you wake up in colder climates and you have a snow in the evening, right? It starts to snow. You wake up early in the morning and you turn the TV on. It used to be you didn't have the internet. It used to be that you'd watch the news station and you'd have a ticker at the bottom of the screen and it lists your school, and you're looking for your school, you know. Oh, Plymouth, canceled. You're looking for a snow day there, right? And then when the snow is enough, we used to gather There was an area in my neighborhood that was a big hill and it overlooked the main road, and we'd go and we'd make snowballs. And what we'd do is we'd make 20 snowballs each, and it'd be like 10 of us. So we'd have like 200 snowballs, and we'd wait for the snowplows to drive by. And when we saw one coming, we'd grab a snowball, take a couple steps back, lean into it, and pitch it. And you'd have to get the snowball so with the perfect amount of force up and over the tree line, and then hopefully hit the snowplow. And it used to tick them off when we hit them. It was really hard to do. It was really hard to do. But the universe is kind of like that snowball. Like, think of all the things that had to be right with that snowball in order to hit that snow plow. If the ball was the snowball was just a little bit bigger or smaller, it would have either gone far or short. If the angle was just a little bit off, it would have gone into the trees, or it would have gone soared over the road. Or if you used more force, the same thing, it would have gone too far or not far enough if you didn't use enough. Or if the wind changed, all these things had to be in place in order for there to be life in order for you hit the snowplow. Well, the same thing is true of the universe. Scientists have discovered that the universe is expanding, for example, in every direction. And the mass of the universe is just like the mass of that snowball. It has to be just right. If there's more mass, then the universe collapses in on itself. If there's less mass, then it's going to accelerate into expansion. And either way, you have no stars. You have no planets. You have no life anywhere. Mark Horton, he wrote a great book. He's a PhD in aerospace engineering from Georgia Tech. Super smart guy. He says, if the balance, listen to this, guys, if the balance between gravity and the expansion rate were altered by 1 part in a million billion 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 billion, there'd be no galaxies, stars, planets, or life, is what he says. Now, that's a really small number. That's a really small number. Altering the mass of the universe just slightly would make it inhospitable to life. And that's just talking about the mass of the universe. Did you guys know that there's 30 physical and cosmological laws that make life permittable, like the force of gravity, for example, strong and weak nuclear forces, electromagnetic forces, entropy levels, gas constants. The list goes on and on, right? Well, what are the chances of just 2 of these? We're talking just 2 of these to be precisely tuned to allow for an inhabitable universe. Now, when I'm saying this, when it's precisely tuned, it's like dialing in your water when you take a shower in the morning. Right. So you've got you have the hot water and the cold water faucets, and you turn one, and so usually I turn on the hot because it takes a while to get hot, and then I add some cold, and you feel in and you add a little bit more cold, and you get that precisely tuned so it makes the perfect shower temperature. Well, what are the chances of having 2 knobs on the faucets of the universe, so to speak, with these cosmological forces perfectly lined up, just 2 of the 30 perfectly lined up? The chances are scientists are saying that it's 1 in 100 million trillion 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 trillion. That's incredible. Well, how about all 30 of these constants? How about all 30 of these? What are the mathematical odds of finally tuning all 30 of these laws? 1 in 100 million. Oh, sorry. Roger Penrose, he says this. He says, this is really crazy because Penrose is super smart, not a Christian as far as I know. He's a mathematical physicist, I think, whatever that means. He's also a philosopher of science. The dude won a Nobel Prize in physics, so that should be enough, right? And he says this, and I actually have this quote here for you guys, just because it's so unbelievable. If we combined all the laws in that must be fine-tuned, he's talking about the universe, we couldn't even write down the number in full, since it would require more zeros than the number of elemental particles in the universe. Just wrap your minds around that, guys. That's incredible. The chances of this happening are almost nothing. The origin of the very precise and specific initial conditions of the universe, that made the solar system, for example, stable in the first place, they require an initial act of design in creation that can't be explained in an irregularity or even a law, because the law needs to be explained. It had to come from somewhere. How do you explain it? Do you is it change? Is it over time and through randomness, or is it design? To me, it seems indicative of a designer. And as I was doing all my research on this, it seems indicative of a designer. But it's just the worldview, the Darwinism, the scientism, the naturalism, the atheism, the materialism. These worldviews just don't allow themselves, because of the presuppositions, to go to that answer.